Warp Core Breach presents Star Trek Attack Wing, the classic movie's storyline OP. Month 2 overview, The Search for Spock.
The Genesis planet was created when Khan Noonien Singh detonated the Genesis device in the Mutara sector in an attempt to kill Admiral James T. Kirk. The planet is growing very rapidly, and you have sent an away team to the planet's surface to study it. While your away team is on the planet, your fleet is set upon by an enemy fleet, who has also sent down its own away team to the planet's surface. Can you retrieve the away team before the Volatile planet, or the enemy's away team destroys them? Let's find out.
Not exactly how I remember Search for Spock going in the movie, but kind of.
Similar, but different, yeah.
I mean, there's always little adaptations for the way it plays out in this game versus what we saw on screen. You have to have a competitive environment, and you have to make it fair for both sides, but yeah.
Well, the feds had gone down to sort of check things out and inadvertently come across, whoa, Spock's alive? What?
Yeah.
And then the Klingons are going, the feds are interested in this for something, so there must be something of value here. Something for the Empire. We steal it. Through glorious, honorable combat.
And we blow up the Grissom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish we had the Grissom.
I guess it was considered the Gristle. So I just threw it away.
Or the Grizzled.
Oh, that's old.
Past tense. Hey, so good news on the scenario itself. We get a planet!
Yeah, planet!
Always love planets.
I like it when it's something other than just open space.
Yeah.
Because you know how things tend to happen around other things.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot of space. But you're usually coming from somewhere, going to somewhere. Maybe a stop somewhere in between or near something. Planet is something, it's somewhere, why not?
Right, objective tokens, planets, debris markers. Give me something on the board. Don't give me 36 by 36 and tell me to go fight. That's boring.
Oh, right.
But you know what? They took it one step further. They also gave us an extra starting area.
Oh, yeah.
And that is within range 1 of the planet token, as long as your base is within the planet.
Basically, you're on polar opposites of the planet, and you've got to hide in the shadow from the opposite side from your enemy.
Yeah. Which is a really interesting setup, because what ship are you going to put up there?
Yeah, you can fit the small bases, the large bases, just not the oversized bases.
Right.
Those still have to start in the original starting area.
No Deep Space Nine, no Super Borg Cube.
Well, you can, just not in the shadow of the planet.
I know, but how cool would it have been to put, like, the big Borg Cube up near the planet? Like,
yeah.
done.
Oh, there's a cube in orbit. Oh, crap. Oh, it looks like DS9's trying to eat the planet.
Abandoned ship. I mean, abandoned planet. Abandoned map. There we go.
The Vulcans already tried that, and they failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They rolled a 1.
Oh. Critical whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened to Spock's mom.
Oh, too soon. Too soon, Nick. I know it's been 7 years. Still too soon.
7 years and, a couple centuries or so in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what the other thing I like about this scenario?
What's that?
The away team.
Yeah.
You get to bring 6 crew with 24 points or less, and they can be any crew you want. So all those crew we complain about being just a little too expensive and you never quite have the slots for them, here you go.
Yeah, because they're not part of your actual fleet build. They're over and above. They're in addition to.
So now something like, Tuvok, who's cool. All of his versions, maybe not so much the Lakota version, but the Independent, the Voyager version, cool effect, but just a little expensive. You could bring that.
You could bring the Happy Odo from Quark's Treasure, so you could just clone anything you want.
Well, you definitely know crew are going to be around today.
Oh, yeah. So he's going to be ripe.
Let's not forget something like Takar, who is very expensive, but then goes and disables all crew. That's going to be very effective, because now you get to mess with them.
Gorn Raiding Party might come in handy, because there's going to be some shield dropping, is there not?
There is, in fact, because if you wish to rescue your away team, you have to be within range 1 to 2 of the planet, and then you spend your action to disable all of your remaining shields, and then pick up one of your crew members from the planet.
So if you want to retrieve these crew, you're going to have to put yourself in a bit of a vulnerable position.
Yes. So high captain skill, again, is going to be very important, because you don't want to leave yourself open to somebody coming in and hitting you with an effect after you lower your shields. Now, they're still going to be down for combat. That's going to hurt. But maybe we see something like a Romulan drone up front with the tech upgrade. I forget the name, but it lets you restore your shields.
Yeah.
So you could spend your action, lower your shields, rescue a crew, and then re-enable your shields. Might be a little too expensive, but considering you're getting 24 points of free crew, maybe it's worth it.
As backup sequencer.
Ah, there we go. So, something to consider.
And the nice thing about the backup sequencer, if you do decide you're going to use it, it has a at any time caveat. So you technically can only really do it in between phases, but if you're lowering him during the activation phase, you can kick him up before the combat phase begins.
Yes.
So it actually works beautifully in this case.
The other downside here is the Genesis planet is a little bit like a toddler, or maybe an aggravated teenager. It likes to lash out at people.
You don't understand me!
Yeah. Okay, Spock, calm down. Have a cookie. Have a Snickers. You get hungry. So at the end of each end phase, if your ship's within range 1 of the planet, you roll 2 attack dice, and you take whatever damage you roll. Yeah, not so good.
Doesn't stop there, though.
No, then you roll a number of defense dice equal to the number of members left in your away team. And as long as you roll 1 evade, nothing bad happens. But if you don't roll any evades, you gotta kill somebody.
Dang.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the away team battles. A little different than how things went on Arena. During the combat phase, if your ship wants to give up its attack for that round, even if it can't attack another ship, as long as it's in range 1 to 2 of the Genesis planet, they can choose to attack with their away team and try to take out the other away team. So the attacker rolls an attack die for each member, max 2, which is kind of funny when you start out with 6. But okay. And then the defender rolls 1 defense for each member of their away team, max 2. Again. And for each uncancelled hit or crit, the defending player must remove a member of their away team from the game, defender's choice. So they don't go onto your ship or anywhere else, they go outside of the game. So, there you go.
That much is at least good. But
yeah.
Seriously, why couldn't we have done some fun math, like number of members of your away team divided by 2 rounded up?
Exactly.
It wouldn't have changed things that much, but when you have 6, you get 3. When you have 5, you get 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0.
Exactly. It would shake things up a bit. It would kind of put a little bit of balance and shift to like how quickly you're retrieving your crew. It's like, do you want to slow down a bit so you can throw a little bit more damage out? Or do you want to speed up and get them out of there as quick as possible? Because you're trying to retrieve them, the planet's trying to kill them, your opponent might be trying to kill them, you could be burning through those away team really fast. So there's definitely some time pressure.
Right. Now the only reason you don't want to bring them all up quickly is the end phase roll where you get 1 per.
Yeah.
And even then, I'd say if you have 3 members left, you've probably rescued your most valuable crew. And so you don't really care if you're losing 1 person.
True enough. So you may also want to consider when you're creating this mini deck or draw pile of 6 crew, you might want to throw a couple fodder in there. Ones that you assume are going to die anyway. But then again, you might want to put in a variety of crew with abilities that you could grab as you see applying to your unique situation, because each opponent is going to be different. You might need a little bit of different nudge in one direction or the other. So that's a consideration as well.
Well, yeah, I could see bringing somebody like Tay from the Temet pack. 1 point card gives you that free cloak action. Maybe you bring it without bringing cloakers if you're running boosters, in the eventuality that you get a cloaking booster.
Right.
And then if you don't, he's fodder. And if you do, well, then maybe he helps you, or maybe you decide that he's fodder anyways.
Yeah. And also cards like Kunivas, where you sacrifice him to get an additional hit result for combat.
Yeah.
A couple points. Either you lose him, or if you get him, great, you can do a little bit extra damage.
Right. So that's kind of a win-win or a win don't care if you lose scenario.
Yeah, it would be nice, but I'm not going to be shedding a tear one way or the other.
Right. So it works out.
Exactly.
Or, my favorite one, Tasha Yar.
Yeah.
Although that's one I think I would actually want to rescue. So, strategy for this OP. Your main objective is still destroy all of your opponent's ships.
Kill, kill, kill.
Kill, kill, kill. Yeah. You get a bonus 5 points for every crew you rescue, and that's marked by a mission token.
Right, so when you actually beam up and rescue this crew member by spending that action, you take a mission token, you put it beside your ship, not on it, so it survives the game even if your ship does not.
Yeah, and then if you have more mission tokens than your opponent, you get 10 more points.
Oh, maximum potential of 40 points.
Yeah. I don't know that you have to go for 40. That's when you play off your opponent. But, you know, I definitely see potential in giving up some attacks to try to kill your opponent in terms of their crew. Especially early on when you don't have somebody else in arc.
Yeah. Some of those points could also make up for you pulling a squishy draft or squishy blind ship.
Yeah.
So if you lose one pretty quickly, you might be able to make up some of those points by retrieving some crew.
Right. And now this is one where you almost consider bringing crew kind of in that worst case scenario. And maybe you put your booster up front to let it start rescuing crew right away. And then you don't care if you lose anything. Like, honestly, if I get the Bajoran booster, I'm putting it up front right away because I'm not losing any of my durability because I don't have to lower any shields.
Exactly.
So, in some ways, that actually works out for me.
Yeah, and the other thing that we had talked about before is depending on what ship you have next to the planet, let's say you've got a Riemann Warbird or something, you can vault with like a 4. If your nose is right up to the planet, you can hop the planet with a 4 straight, or other ships with a 5 or a 6, pop on the other side and get right in the enemy's face, or avoid them if they're coming around.
Yeah. And I know I've messed around with Picard maneuver before, but now you can Picard maneuver from about a third of the way ahead on the board. Now you can be definitely in their face from the get-go.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing to keep in mind. There is definitely going to be ship-to-ship interaction from turn 1.
It's going to be an exciting beginning right through to the end.
Yeah, and the thing is, you must place one of your ships in that forward starting area by the planet. So if you're not putting somebody up early, you gotta put your last ship there. And so when you choose to put a ship up front, that's going to tell your opponent a lot. I'm thinking I want to make sure I have captain skill advantage of ships in that starting area.
Absolutely.
You really got to weigh that battle, though.
Yeah, you've got the line of sight to contend with as far as your attack. But abilities...
Right, abilities. That's where the money's made.
Yes, particularly if they're lowering their shields.
Yeah, and so that's another thing. Maybe round 1, if you don't have the captain skill advantage, you don't lower your shields to rescue crew right away.
Exactly.
Wait until the rest of your fleet's brought up
Mm-hmm.
so you can do other things.
And one thing that we forgot to mention is that the action that retrieves your crew, you cannot be cloaked on the turn that you do this. So you have to start out not cloaked and then lower your shields.
Right.
So it's not like you can be cloaked and then say, oh, well, I'm just going to lower my shields. Oh, I don't have any. Well, I'll drop the cloak. No, you actually have to start out not cloaked.
Right. You can have absolutely no shields, but there's only a handful of ships that do that. Maybe that's worthwhile. Maybe this is another scenario for Weapon Zero.
True. Oh, and another friendly reminder. Remember, you don't always have to have your ships pointing straight ahead. You can rotate them. They can start already orbiting. You can put them at 12.5 degree, 45, 90, 36 degree, whatever you want.
Pointing back towards you.
Yeah, there you go. Could start the turn.
Run away from the planet.
Run away! Run away!
No, like, if you really don't want to engage on the planet, run away from it. Get out of their ability to mess with you.
True.
You know, go back, do like a 3 come about, and then the rest of your fleet can do like a 3 forward, and you're about level.
Nice.
That would work out.
Mm-hmm. That way you could form up.
Exactly. So if you're really wanting to move together as a fleet, do that.
Excellent point, David.
I'm giving away my own tactics at this point, but that tells you what I'm trying to do for you guys. How much I care about the community and how much I don't care about winning my own events.
It's nice to win stuff, but realistically, you've got to be enjoying the game. Otherwise, you shouldn't be playing. So, the rule there, have fun. Because you should be playing.
Exactly. Hey, so let's talk about what you get just for showing up.
All right.
And that is the emergency power resource.
Nice idea.
It's a little bit of a letdown after general orders. That was such a good resource.
Oh, that had us drooling.
I know. So, emergency power. 5 points. At the start of the game, you get 5 mission tokens on the card. During the execute maneuver step of the activation phase, after a ship in your fleet performs a green or white maneuver, that ship may immediately perform an additional maneuver with a speed of 1 or 2. Treat this additional maneuver as a red maneuver. It's okay.
Yeah.
You may only use this ability once per round. Each time you do, remove a mission token, and then remove the card when there's no mission tokens left. Okay. Extra movement is great. No one is going to argue that whatsoever.
No.
The downside here is it has to be a move on your dial.
Mm-hmm. Which takes it definitely a step down or so from Maxwell Forest.
Yeah. And it just kind of leaves you going, I wish it had just been do a 1 or 2 on your dial.
Yeah.
Like, treat it as a white on your dial, even. Or treat it as whatever color it is. And then it would be fine.
Or heck, even allow you to do it after your ship's action and then make it a red or give you an ox.
Right.
Like, it's either a green or a white or whatever. Take an ox after your action.
Right?
Yeah.
Or have it happen at the start of the combat phase.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made this great.
Some strategy would be involved, yeah.
Yeah.
Some tactical planning.
And then if both people are running this, then it comes down to captain skill of the ship that you're wanting to use it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you kind of got to figure, in order to get to that point where you're squeezing the juice out of the engines to get that little bit extra and all that, your people actually have to do something. Your ship has to do something, so it would occur after, not before you get the chance to act.
Right.
So it feels more natural, more plausible at that point as well.
Yeah, it does. So I think this resource is okay, but it's just not good enough compared to what already exists in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's basically an action unless you have some sort of aux power mitigation.
Right.
Immediate aux power mitigation.
Scotty, power grid kind of thing.
Yeah. And even that might have weird rule interactions, but this isn't the time to go into that.
No, indeed.
It's essentially an action, at which point I would rather have Admiral Forrest, because he's less points, doesn't use my resource, uses my Admiral, which is also valuable.
It's not on the dial. It gets you your 1 straight, 1 bank, or 1 turn, which is on so few ships. It's like, what, on 4 ships in the whole game?
That 1 turn is the most valuable move in the game.
Oh, absolutely. If you can do that, that can make all the difference at the right time.
Yes.
The wrong time for your enemy.
So that is the resource that I wish we had. I wish we had Admiral Forrest as a resource. Instead, we have this, which is okay, but not compared to what other resources exist.
So, I know a number of venues do this. I believe yours does. Mine's starting to do this, but TOs out there, I recommend consider the possibility of having your players use this resource for free during this event, in addition to whatever resource they choose, just to give them the chance to actually try it out. Maybe one of you out there will figure out something, like some other use for this that we're not thinking of, and actually generate some value for the card.
We don't do that yet. We're talking about it. But yeah, it's definitely under the realm of consideration. Just because how else are you going to get to play a lot of these resources? Right.
If they're not a top-tier resource, you're never going to play them except on some random casual day with Buddy and Joe Bob and Sammy Jim and all that, you know?
Yeah. So, playing stuff for free is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now for the opposite of free. The prize ship. So, Nick, tell us about Kruge and his bird of prey.
Kruge's bird of prey is a Brel-class Klingon vessel. Unique, 22 points, 4133, standard Klingon action bar, 2 weapon slots, 2 crew slots. I like it. Would have liked a tech slot.
Of course.
Yeah. We like our technology. Hey, we're geeks.
I mean, crew weapon tech would be perfect.
Oh, yeah. Like, sure, there's some circumstances where you want extra weapon slots for shenanigans or whatever, but if for just straight combat and firing around, you're either going with 0 or 1 weapon.
Yeah.
Not 2.
I don't think I've ever put 2 weapons on a Brel.
Active weapons, I'll agree with you, but if you're using things like Type 8s upgraded for Fed or something similar on Klingon ships, what was that range 3 booster that came with, what was it, Coronar?
Yeah, phaser array retrofit.
Right, that one.
Yeah, I've never run that.
It comes in handy once in a while. Like, that would be a valid use, but again, it's not an active secondary weapon as far as something you're actually firing.
Too expensive for my taste, but I understand why some people do run it.
True.
Yeah.
So, the ship's action is, once this round, if you inflict a critical damage on an enemy ship's hull, you may search the damage deck for a direct hit damage card and place it beside the enemy's ship card. Shuffle the damage deck when you are done.
Boy, it could have been so good if it didn't say action.
I know. We don't need the director here. We just need to roll with it. React!
Yeah. In fact, if it doesn't say action, then you don't even have to search the damage deck for the direct hit. It could have just been do an extra damage.
Yeah, it could have been that simple.
Yeah.
If you inflict a critical damage on an enemy ship's hull, just put 1 extra face-down damage card beside the ship.
Yeah.
Or instead of drawing a critical, place 2 face down.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that it's searching for the direct hit, it is taking it out of circulation, so maybe there's some intent behind that in the design.
I guess.
So that's all right. But again, it shouldn't require an action, because Klingons aren't the kind to, put a little bit of effort in and then cross their fingers, hoping and praying that some good result will come of it. They are proactive. They are going to go out there. They're going to fight. They're going to hit. They're going to punch. They're going to cut. They're going to shoot. They're going to fly. And they're going to pa, pa, pa. They're going to try to kill.
Yeah.
They don't sit in the backyard going, I hope it works.
Hey, watch me try this. Yeah, well, and the problem I have with this is the only means that Klingons have of mostly having a dependable crit is Drexer and Garen. But that's also an action.
Right.
If this ability wasn't an action, now you put Drex on this, and it's a pretty consistent effect. But it's still once per round.
You don't want to have to use Martok to make it work.
Exactly, because Martok I want to use Projected Stasis Field and something else.
Exactly.
And that's a better use of it. I don't want to do one extra damage.
That's Kunivas.
Exactly. I'd rather have Kunivas than this ship ability.
Yeah, in its current form.
Right. You make it a passive ability instead of action. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we get Captain Kruge.
Great Scott!
No, wrong franchise.
Ha! No! Hokey doke!
All right, Kruge is skill 7 with a talent slot. Costs you 4 points. He adds crew upgrade slot to your bar. And when attacking with your primary weapon during the deal damage step, you may discard one of your crew upgrades to inflict 1 additional damage to the defending ship.
Does have some synergistic feeling to it, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Gives you a crew slot. That's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when attacking, so it works every time you attack.
Yeah, if you get multiple attack potential, you can take advantage of this.
Yeah. You're still limited to discarding 1 crew per attack, but that's okay. You're rarely going to have a ton of crew to toss. But
yeah, it's not like you want to dump your entire crew out there, or pump them into the torpedo tube, fire them at the enemy. Almost sounds like something Khan might do. Reboot Khan.
Or Lore, or Mirror Cisco.
Of course.
Right.
I was speaking more cinematically, but yeah, Lore and Mirror Cisco are like mirrors of this card.
Right.
Similar effect, slightly different implementation.
Yeah, but I like it. Kruge is solid, gives Klingons another high-skill captain that isn't named Martok.
Yeah, he's a happy medium at being at 7 skill points. 6 is just starting to crouch down into the lower tier. 7's like the bottom of the really good captains. And you throw on a decent admiral, go give him up 1 or 2 to his captain skill, you're golden. He's already becoming top tier.
Right, or Worf. And that gives you +3, and a skill 10 is a very nice, solid thing.
Oh, who can complain for that?
No one.
Who's ever heard a good Klingon complain? I have a feeling somebody's going to retaliate at me for that one.
Ooh, can it be me?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Grr. There we go.
Ow.
Okay. So tell us about that retaliatory strike.
Kruge's elite talent is Retaliatory Strike. 5 points, unique. If your ship was just damaged and the attacking ship is in your forward firing arc and within range 2 to 3 of your ship, you may discard this card to immediately perform an attack against the attacking ship with one of your photon torpedo upgrades. You must discard the photon torpedo upgrade when your attack is completed. This attack is in addition to your normal attack for the round. It had me right up until photon torpedoes.
Yeah, because that means you have to be at the right range with the firing arc and the target lock.
Yep. It does say perform an attack against the attacking ship with one of your photon torpedoes upgrades, which means you must meet the conditions for that attack to happen.
Yeah. So my first instinct was to put this on Chang's Bird of Prey, because that at least you can fire photon torpedoes, not lose your cloak. You kind of want to take 2 photon torpedoes, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, not the place to do it. Enterprise E at least lets you fire torpedoes without needing the target lock.
True.
So that would give you a better chance of actually using this card. However, you don't want to use photon torpedoes on that ship. So really, there's no good place for this card.
And the fact that you've got to spend the 5 points on retaliatory strike, you've got to spend the upwards of 5 points for the photon torpedo upgrade. Yeah. So that's like 10 points for a discard.
Yeah, the only thing that might be any good is if you were able to use the fleet captain that discounted weapons, then you'd have retaliatory strike for free or 1 point off faction.
Sakana
as
well.
And then you've got your torpedoes for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, but that's a lot of effort and slot usage and everything else just to make this one card somewhat usable.
Right. And at that point, you're just better off doing anything else.
Yeah. So I think the lesson that we learn from this is if a card is a discard, especially if it's going to be discarding something else, you've got to make it cheap to make it desirable. You know, you could have made it a 1 point talent because, you know, factoring the cost of the torpedoes, or put in a little thing where you can bring on a photon torpedo upgrade for free. Right?
That would have done it.
Or have it underneath this card, face down, and you can bring it out to use it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I like any of those better than what actually happened.
There you go.
Okay. So, let's talk about Valkyris.
Ah. Captain's woman,
yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
She is a 5-point unique crew. And she says, action. Target a ship at range 1 to 3. Discard this card and disable 1 upgrade on the target ship, limited to crew, weapon, or tech. You may immediately use the action listed on the upgrade you disabled with this action as if it were assigned to your ship. Okay.
It's like a Ursa Odo 1.
Yeah, kind of. Weapons have no action text except for Bajoran Phaser Strike.
Which you've got to cross your fingers hoping the opponent brings that. So,
right.
Not likely.
We just got rid of all weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Tech have almost no actions.
Tetrion emissions is one, but you don't see it very often again.
Yeah. And there's a couple others.
Mm-hmm.
But hardly anybody runs them.
And that pretty much leaves us with crew.
Crew. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Use this on Drex?
Or Sulu?
Is that really worth 5 points?
No.
Wouldn't you be better off running your own copy of Drex?
Or the Quark's Treasure Odo to just copy that crew to begin with?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Okay. I think we gave Valkyris a shot.
She needs to stop trying to please her captain and start working on furthering her own career.
Yeah. Plus, she's just too expensive.
That's for sure.
But somebody's more expensive than her. Why don't you tell us about him?
Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Torg. He is a 6 cost. Ooh.
Wait, 6? I don't think we've ever had a 6-point crew.
No.
Okay, he better be worth it.
Well, let's find out.
Okay.
I think he's got some value here. You already know he's a crew. He's definitely unique. And he says, action. If your ship is not cloaked, disable all of your remaining shields and target a ship at range 1 to 2 that is not cloaked and has no active shields. You might need something like projected stasis field to ensure this gets pulled off.
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see if it's worth it. Discard this card and disable all upgrades on the target ship. I like this. The target ship rolls -1 attack die and -1 defense die. Still good. While any of its upgrades remain disabled. Ooh. Once there are no disabled upgrades on the target ship, remove Torg's continuous effect token from beside the target ship. So that means that as long as there is a disabled upgrade on that ship, it retains the -1 attack and -1 defense. I like this.
Yeah. So here's my first problem, and of which I have a few. One, you have to have an enemy ship with upgrades on it.
Yes.
Now, people are running more upgrades than they used to. I don't think we see very many straight up fleets, but like if you're up against species, they're just running pretty bare bone ships.
Well, hey, they do tend to have a lot of the biotechnology these days, and disabling that can certainly be beneficial. And elite talents are upgrades. Those are always nice to disable because they usually have severe consequences if they get the chance to use them.
Oh, sure. But they're also pretty quick to re-enable. So.
Granted, but if you're disabling all upgrades, hopefully they have at least 2, if not more, then they have to pick and choose, and then you've got a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah. The other problem I have is that by the time they're not cloaked and have no active shields,
pants down,
they're typically mostly dead, or at least halfway dead. At that point, you're better off just trying to kill them. Now, I don't deny that disabling all of their upgrades will help you kill them. But is that really worth 6 points?
This is really good against those ships that start with no shields, or that expect to get to that point and they have like the enhanced hull platings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because then you can just go to town.
Yeah.
So it's a very situational card in that respect.
Yeah, I had a build that this would just decimate. But,
But I like the static ability of the -1 attack and defense. Granted, you have to get their pants down first before you can hit them with this. You know.
Oh, yeah. But this is such an innovative card. I love the innovation from it. It's a great new use of a continuous effect token that matters.
Yep.
And I want to see more stuff like that.
Yes.
That is encouraging to me. So, as much as I think that this card is maybe a little too situational, I'm also sitting here and going, wait a minute, there's a lot of potential here, and I can see how they can keep playing with this and get somewhere really, really cool.
Yeah, it's the beginnings of something.
Yeah.
Possibly. So basically, what it comes down to is Torg is just trying to spank the enemy here.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I'm getting a little thirsty here, and it's a bit hot out, so what do you got for me?
I've got a great chocolate malts for you.
Ooh. Bring it on.
Alright, 5-point unique. And he says, action. If your ship is not cloaked, discard this card to target a friendly ship within range 1 to 2 of your ship. Take up to 3 crew upgrades from that ship and put them on your ship, even if it exceeds your ship's restrictions, or take up to 3 crew upgrades from your ship and put them on the target ship, even if it exceeds that ship's restrictions. That was the sound of me facepalming. Why am I facepalming? Because WizKids is now actively rejecting the 50-point limit.
Yes, it started with the shuttlecraft trick, and now it's just gotten even better. Or worse, depending on your point of view.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think this is something new that you have to account for. So, at least what this does, that Shuttles didn't do, is that it leaves one ship a little more vulnerable.
That is true.
And so when you have that going on, there's something to it. And there's a little more elegance to being able to attack a fleet after Maltz has been used. What I do like here is that, say you have a ship that's near death. You can use him almost as an escape transporter or an escape pod and send people over. What most people are going to use him as is a beginning game, load up a dreadnought, and let's be on our merry way. I have a feeling it was more designed as the escape transporter, and it's now been morphed into something else.
Yeah.
You know, a caveat of your ship must have at least one damage card on it would have been a nice, easy fix. But I don't know. Maybe it was meant to do the whole load up thing, and I'm just being ridiculous. I still love the card.
Oh, absolutely. What's not to love?
Yeah, the fact that it completely changes the game and the way we have to play everything.
Well, I know in some cases it can really break up the game, break things, but anything that changes the way we look at the game helps keep it fresh. We don't want things to stagnate and get stale, so we need something to shake it up once in a while. We just need to make sure that these things shaking it up don't rattle it completely free. We're not trying to stick it in a paint shaker here.
Oh, yeah. If anything, this furthers my call to want to play games at 150 points or 160 points with a 4-ship minimum, so you can't do the ridiculous load up one ship and make it almost unkillable.
Mm-hmm.
That way you have to have a diversified fleet. And if you want to have 2 super ships, that's fine. I'll take 4 or 5 ships up against that, and I'll be able to whittle it down.
Exactly, and that would help minimize attack cancellations as a means as well, because, once you get larger quantities of ships, you can only cancel so many attacks.
Right. There's a lot more variety that exists in the game at 150, 160 than at 120. So
yeah, even with ship point limitations, I'd be hands down keen interested in just checking it out and say, hey, let's experiment with this.
Yeah, so not trying to derail and go in a completely different direction. Just a point that made me go, oh yeah, about that.
Things that make you go,
But you know what? I like Kruge's Bird of Prey as a pack in total. I think Kruge is an excellent captain. I think he's tier 2. I don't think he's top of the line, but I think he's useful, and I think he'll find a home in certain builds.
Yes, he'd have to be modified with admirals or fleet captains or other things to push him up into that first tier, for stats and everything else. But as is, solid tier 2. Right.
And Maltz is definitely a solid card. He's tier 1.
Yeah. He's near the top of tier 1.
Yeah. And Torg is that interesting tier 2, maybe tier 3, where he's got potential and we'll see what he does.
Yes. I'd like to see what people do with him.
Yeah. I firmly believe that he needs some support. He needs a consistent disabler, maybe even Admiral Kirk.
Aha.
Or even a backup disabler, Miles O'Brien, something like that. Mm-hmm. Just to keep the pressure on with their disable tokens.
Absolutely. And it doesn't hurt to have, like I said, the projected stasis field to get the ball rolling in the first place.
Right. And then I think the rest of the pack just isn't going to see that play. I think Valkyris is underpowered. I think Retaliatory Strike is way too expensive. And I think Kruge's Bird of Prey needs a fix to not be in action. And I will tell you that if it ever shows up in the Task Force Bravo campaign, it will not have action. It will just be a static ability.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with the once per round. That's fine. Yeah. Just don't make me pay for it when it should be a reactive ability.
Right. You're already paying for it in the sense that you're bringing it instead of the Ch'tang.
Yep. So definitely a good pack. Mixed feelings on some of the cards, but there's enough there to definitely drool over. Yeah. You want to be putting your best foot forward when it comes to playing the Search for Spock to win yourself one of these packs.
So get out there and play. Get into your local stores. Support the game.
And Kapla! Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.